Obviously, you would have preferred to get the win tonight for your team and everything, but still, just talk about the experience. How did you like this format and just everything that unfolded here this afternoon?
I thought it was awesome. I've done a couple of these before, and there's no secret that there are people that are doing jiu-jitsu full-time as a career, which I think is awesome. And we got to see some of those guys compete today. And so I love that we had a great team out there. We're super competitive, and it's motivating to do more of these. And I may actually, with A1 Combat, do some more grappling events also. Those that don't know, this event was based on the fact that all of us fighters have our own promotion. That's, Jorge, Pettis, and Kraus, myself. And I thought we're supposed to use people from our organization or our area, but some ringers are brought in, and I've been guilty of that myself in the past, so no harm, no foul. We had some great guys that I want to promote myself anyways. So Song Yadong is going to be the main event on September 17th, and a lot of people have seen his high-level grappling, and he is very high-level. Didn't completely get to show it today. I also have Ryan Loader, who's fought for my promotion and is a two-time All-American, four-time national qualifier, and an undefeated mixed martial artist. He's also a jiu-jitsu player, and so it's good to have him out there. And then Rafael Domingos, he's 10-2. 9 submissions in the first round in mixed martial arts. So looking forward to having him fight on our promotion as well. And it was fun to represent. It's always good. I would have liked to got in there and mix it up a little bit. I actually hurt my knee about a week ago, and I think I probably could have gone, but it was, Song really wanted to compete, and I'd already filled it in with Rafael as well, and I probably shouldn't risk it against these 280-pound or 200-pound dudes, because I'm not, I'm a competitor. So glad that I'm healing up, but it would have been nice to get in there.
Was there any hesitancy using Song just because he's got a fight coming up? We've seen some injuries happen. You always think of Cub Swanson and stuff in this event, where you kind of find negating the risk a little bit.
Yeah, and so we had a discussion with the production team, and I was actually gonna pull him based on who we were going against on size difference.
Right.
And I also talked with the UFC brass and kind of let them know what was going on. And I was going to not have him compete. And then he said, "Coach, come on, I train all the time. I've done a lot of combat. I've done a lot of jiu-jitsu matches in China. And I'll stay safe. I know what I'm doing. I'm not a beginner." That's what he said. Not quite as eloquent with the English, but, in our language of fight, I know exactly what he meant. And so, I don't want to take that away from him. And I've got a tradition of, doing a few submission grappling matches just because, and I've always gone against the who's who, and so we were excited to get that match against a rising star in J-Rod. He's a guy that I watched and I've been impressed with, and he's a 20-year-old kid, bigger than Song, and is focused full-time on jiu-jitsu with one of the best teams in the world. So, without the coin toss, we're doing pretty well. But it's exciting to know that Song really likes to compete. He likes to test himself, and that he has the skill to do so at the highest level.
And what do you think of this fight between him and Corey? Obviously, a win here takes him to the next level in an insane bantamweight division right now.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, and Sandhagen is no joke. That guy is dangerous, and he's tricky, and very unique fighter because of his body and his skill set. So I think it's a great matchup for us, and we'll take lessons from his fights in the past and expect the best Sandhagen that they'll have to put out there, and he's definitely going to get the best Song, because Song is constantly improving and working his butt off and has that eye on the prize, which I think is the big thing that needed to happen. As a guy that came in a room full of killers when he was a teenager by himself from China to now understanding that he should be the world champ, that's the biggest shift.
Yeah, and a couple other things going on with you, the Davis and Figueiredo relationship. I'm curious how that came about, and what he was looking for in terms of how you could help him moving forward, and just how that came about.
So the biggest thing is we've got a program at our team, Train with Tam, and we've got relationships all over the world. We have fighters from Korea, from China, from Japan, from every part of the world, Chechnya and Azerbaijan and Russia and Brazil and so on and so forth. he came down for 2 of his camps, and because of the beef with him and Cody at the time, and Cody was dropping to 125, we had to kind of like say, hey man, for the time being, let's set it off. But I really hit it off with him. I think when it comes to management, I was the same way. You have to find somebody you trust, and you have to find somebody that has seen the business. It's one thing to just, go with the shiny object, but I've got a great team behind me with Vayner Sports and Lloyd Pearson and their whole staff. Fabio Prado is also a longtime coach of mine, but has helped me manage the Brazilian fighters for years. And a lot of people don't know that I had one of the largest management firms before anyone knew who I was. MMA Inc. with Jeff Meyer and Mike Roberts. We had Anthony Pettis, who is here. We had Chael Sonnen and Chad Mendez, and the list goes on of high-level fighters that we managed throughout the years. And that was my company that I started. I brought those guys together. So I'm happy to do my part. I do stay in my lane. I will be doing my best to help him, guide him, give advice. But the Vayner Group will be doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But he has a relationship with myself and Fabio Prado, who he trusts.
Yeah, what kind of advice can you give him, though? Because it seems like he's somewhat disgruntled. I know he was really upset by the interim title. He says, they need to pay me if I'm going to stay at 125. How do you guide him through this to a place where he's in a good spot? This
has been a very short-lived build-up to us coming to an agreement to help with his career. And the first thing I got here, when I talked to him, I said, hey, man, worry about being the best guy on the planet. The UFC, they're no dummies. They're not snakes. They're not anything. Keep the disgruntled stuff, to yourself. Let it be motivation, and then let the people who talk about that. I mean, the UFC will know that, whether he's getting paid what he's worth, and they have to kind of recognize that. And fighters are going to be disgruntled. And the more money they get, they're going to get more and more disgruntled because they don't have more. And sometimes it feels like they're getting slighted, and a lot of times they are. But at the end of the day, unless you have some sort of leverage at the point, you have to let the bygones be bygones, because it wasn't like he was crooked into anything. He had management that got him to this position. So, hopefully we can help him get what he's worth, and he can continue to reign as the baddest dude on the planet. And he's a good person. He's got a great heart. He's got a great mentality. He's got natural gifts, and he's the champion of the world. So he's got a lot of things stacked in his favor. And just reminding him, be positive. You got to stay positive, and the good stuff will happen.
Hey, Uriah, just to close it out, since I know we don't got much time, just thoughts on 2 of your recent athletes, Macy last night and obviously Josh a couple weeks ago.
This is I'm glad you're bringing this up, because I was super disappointed, and Josh was also, on the fact that, he wasn't treated that great this last week. I mean, we were expecting for him to be there sideline. He's beat so many guys in dominant fashion. He's had these major injuries, and he needs that fight next, that 145-pound belt. He's the guy that can match up well with Volkanovski, that can pack a punch that puts people out cold with one punch. He can handle a volume, has wrestled his whole life, wrestled in college. That's the matchup. And I was a human development major in college, and they always taught us, for those, when you go in to teach elementary school kids, you got to watch out for the guys that don't have a loud voice. And he's kind of been overlooked, but he's there, ranked number 4 in the world, beat some incredible people. Amazing performance against a killer. And the other people in line would be a Brian Ortega or a Yair, and they've both been beat by the top guys. So, Josh is the guy. We're hoping to get the camera on him, get him, watching the event. And to be honest, it was kind of a mishap, but he had a really bad experience. He was put way back in the seat, not even with the rest of the guys, and had to find his way by himself upstairs, because they have peons working security that are getting paid minimum wage that are like, hey, you can't come this way. And he's not a confrontational guy unless you're paying him to beat someone up. And so he was really upset that there wasn't more made of the fact that he's the guy in line. And I'm going to talk to Dana about it, and I'm going to talk to Hunter and let him know it's really bullshit. Macy, on the other hand, is a girl that does speak up, and she has been screaming forever to look at me, and there's reason for that. She's young. She's 24. She's dominant. She's getting better. She's doing all these extra things that a lot of people don't have the dedication or the discipline to do. Getting up early, working on her mind, working on her body, and she's going to be a champ. So we're excited for that.
Do you think that Josh, we know the business is going to be what it is, what Alex does next, et cetera, move up or whatever. Do you think Josh will wait for that undisputed shot? Or let's say Yair wins, do you think you could see an interim, and would you tell him, hey, jump on this opportunity if they say there's an interim?
Absolutely. Josh will jump on any opportunity. He's never said no to anything. He's literally the guy in Office Space that keeps getting moved to the basement. He's like, hey, give me my stapler or I'm going to burn this place down. And he just keeps knocking fuckers out instead, and still, they don't even have him front row to watch the guys that are top in his division after he comes off a dominant main event performance. It's really BS. So he'll take any opportunity. Last night he was like, you know what, F this. I wish they'd just release me. I get no respect, blah, blah. And I had to remind him, he's like, I think I'm going to drop down to 35, so I'm going to fight O'Malley because that's who's getting all the credit. And I'm like, first off, that's not going to be good for your body to drop that weight. You're right there knocking on the door. We just have to make it happen. And I'm really sorry that he had such a bad experience. He literally, if you look at his Instagram, posted a picture from the rafters because he kept getting moved to the friggin' MMA basement because of a miscommunication. And so that was really frustrating to find out in the aftermath, looking around for, okay, I figured he's on the other side or they're doing some interviews or nothing. Nothing. Ghosted. It's really sad. And his wife was livid. He was livid, and he just was like, what do I have to do to get a little bit of respect? So Dana, I hope you see this and understand that it's Josh's time.
He he did every interview he could leading up on his own. I know when he came to Vegas, he set stuff up. He tried to put himself out there. And yeah, it seemed like a layup that, you put him on the post-fight show and give his thoughts. Or
unbelievable.
Like none of that, right?
Zero. Yeah. Not only that, he was literally put in row G, seat S with general public. And it was a mishap because of the way the tickets were happening and whatnot. But and then we didn't know about it until it was too late, and he's just angry. He was, he's not gonna fight the security guard because he's trying to get someone. So it was a misunderstanding, but look, give the guy his friggin' respect. He's been taking the hardest road possible, multiple surgeries on his hands, on his face. He knocks dudes out. He cuts the weight. He lives like a professional. It's time.
Urijah, hearing your passion for your athletes, I gotta say, is it that you've gotten too successful at the other stuff? You have people talk about Henry Cejudo, Habib. Urijah Faber's been coaching winners for a long time. Why are we not talking about you as the #1 fighter turned head coach more?
I wish I could take credit for that, but honestly, what I've done is create a great team and a great structure and system, and it's all about training all year round and filling in all the blanks. And so I am not like the guy making it all happen. I am on occasion somebody's go-to guy, but Danny Castillo, Joey Rodriguez, Chris Holdreth, the list goes on. We've got Guillermo, who's a kickboxing coach for us, and Coach Kirian that helps work with some of our guys, and we have a huge amount of resources, including the peers that work with each other, like Ryan Loader as a wrestling coach, and Alex Munoz as a wrestling coach, and so there's a big and I've had such bad experiences bringing in coaches that try to make it about themselves. It's one of the most irritating things on the planet. I'm not going to name any names, but it's happened to me a couple times where I'm like, you know what, dude? Look, I'm in a different position because I made my name. I've been in the limelight. I don't need that. And so it's really a hard spot when people make it about themselves. And I'm really, really singing the praise of our team. Our team's amazing.
Back to Josh real quick. With the Alex not really mentioning a fight with him, do you think that's the UFC not promoting that fight or giving Josh more shine, or is it Alex not looking at other things to do?
Well, let me tell you this. I think was Chuck Liddell managed by Dana White at one point before you owned the UFC?
Yeah,
okay. So Dana White had a personal relationship with Chuck Liddell, who doesn't speak a lick. you can't get him a couple sentences out of him most of the time unless you're sitting there hanging out with him, like I was this last weekend. But he knocks people out cold. He's a silent killer, I think because of the layoffs in between Josh's fights, because of major injuries and some in terrible situations like the illegal knee and then the elbows after the bell, he gets sidelined and is not in the limelight for a while. But every time he comes back, it's something impressive. So I think Dana just needs to be reminded, like, you got a silent killer. You got a guy that can be marketed. They do choose. They could easily put him in the front row and say, hey, what do you think about these guys? And you ask him what he's going to do. I'm going to knock those motherfuckers out. That's what he'll say, and maybe not in those exact words, but he's going to be thinking it. He's going to be believing it, and he's shown that he can do it. So, for me, it's, they need to choose to promote him a little bit more. They need to give him the right opportunities and just be present. Josh's wife said, look, it's very apparent where we stand with the UFC. They don't give a shit about us, which is a shitty feeling.
And last one for me, with this competition having the weight limit at the team level, is that something you would consider more playing as far as a tactic to bring in your own tower, or is it just about bringing the best guys?
No, yeah, I love this the way that's set up. I was part of Quintet. We won that Quintet event when I went against Sakuraba, who is one of my favorite fighters of all times. I like that. I like playing with that format. I think the biggest thing is that not being afraid to use the UFC's Fight Pass's money to bring in the best talent in the world, and but then it becomes down to your agenda, all right? And today my agenda was, have some great performances and highlight some guys that we have on our promotion. This is about A1 Combat and Pettis' show and Krause's show and Jorge's show. So, I think it served a purpose for me.
Thank you.
I'm not saying that the guys didn't do a great job tonight, but are there any names off the top of your head that you want to bring in? Maybe the Malots of the world?
Well, we have, from our team in particular, and this wasn't about our team, this is our promotion. We're going to be doing a combat jiu-jitsu team in December, and you guys are about to see a kid named Caleo Romero, who's been, in my mind, one of the best talents unseen in a very long time. He's fighting on the Contender Series in a couple weeks here. I'd like to have him on that combat team, probably Chad Mendez on the combat team, Song on the combat team, maybe get some of the old guys, Danny Castillo, and some of the guys that love jiu-jitsu and can also knock people out. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. Mike Malott, I think this one's going to be 155-pound, but we've got a ton of great talent. Wait till you see Ryan Loader. I mean, you didn't get to see much of him today, but he's getting really good really quick. I mean, literally a year and a half committed to this mixed martial arts animal, and he's a all-American wrestler. Looks similar to Rockhold with stature and being a guy that's well-spoken and whatnot. We still got some big stars, and we're going to do more of that.
Well, I was just at his fight in Burlington at BTC.
Oh, yeah.
Loader looked incredible. So how high do you think the ceiling is, and how soon do you think you'll see him in the UFC?
I got a video. I got Loader in the back of him eyeballing Israel as Israel's about to walk out. And I could just see, people that believe in themselves. And so, he was about 14 feet, 20 feet behind, Israel before he brought out the urn and all that good stuff. And I can just tell that that's where he wants to be, a world champion. And yeah, that's it. And I it's funny because I saw Jens Pulver here, who hopefully we get him in the Hall of Fame here soon. But I remember in 2004, this is a great time in history for me. Because Randy Couture is such an awesome dude. I was there staying with him in his room on the floor with my high school girlfriend and a bunch of other people that he was letting crash. And Chuck Liddell was fighting Tito Ortiz. And I remember I just started my career, and I was at the Mandalay Bay Sportsbook and just watching Jens Pulver get mobbed by people. And I was like, oh, man, I want to fight that guy someday. And, he was the man at that time. He was a UFC champion and everything else. And so it's cool to see. I told Ryan that story when he was watching Israel came out, when I saw Jens, and it brought it back because I saw Jens this weekend. And so, that's how this thing works, I don't know how many times. I remember Jose Aldo getting a picture with me in Sacramento, and after he walked away, I go, he's going to put that on his wall and fucking throw darts at it, you know? You know, you guys all know how that story went.